Today I'm going to talk, though, about 3 silent disruptors. Now, you'll have heard of these concepts, of these technologies, but what I intend to do is to sort of unearth some of the implications coming down the pike that are maybe harder to see. These 3 trends will radically reshape marketing and all of our lives, frankly. At Kaleido Insights, the research firm that I work at and run, we look at the impacts that technologies, very, very emerging disruptive technologies, have on end users, on people, employees, on businesses and organizations, and also across broader ecosystems. We're going to talk first about not just AI and machine learning and frameworks and all the fun techie stuff, but about how this augments individuals, consumers, and also you as marketers and your role. We'll then talk about where IoT is today. This has been around for some time, but with the convergence of artificial intelligence in devices, this totally changes how we think about user experience, what that means. Finally, get ready, take a deep breath, because we're going to go into the fun world of blockchain and look not just at the architecture, we really aren't even going to talk about Bitcoin, but go much more into what this means in terms of trust, in building a layer of trust in a way that we don't really have today on the internet. So first, artificial intelligence and the rise of the augmented marketer, and the augmented human, for that matter. Now, for many, thinking about AI feels kind of like this. You hear about it all the time. Billions of dollars are being spent in this. It's in the media every day, and from hyperbole, all over the place. But what is AI really? How do we actually define this inevitable, intelligent, but also really enigmatic trend? There are many different applications for AI. This, in and of itself, is far from an exhaustive list. A couple of years ago, I wrote a report, 215 use cases for AI across 30 different industries. And you can see here, there are many, many in just business services and marketing alone. From visual discovery, as we kind of looked at, to sentiment analysis using biometrics, more on that in a minute, to in-store personalization using sensor data to really not just inform how people move through a store, but also to feed this to a real-life human who might say, hey, welcome to the store. I see that the last time you had an issue with this, check out this instead. All kinds of different use cases that we see using machine learning in marketing. And we're really in the very early days with this, especially because, as I said, so much of what we see is just on that context delivery, just about augmenting information, not yet about actual execution, actually carrying out the decisions that the AI is recommending. So, one trend. Let's move on to another trend, as if that wasn't complex enough. Now, IoT has been around for some time, of course. We've been putting connectivity and sensors into devices, running network services through apps. Primarily consumer-facing IoT is very much a mobile play today. Today, we're sitting around 9 billion devices, $157 billion market. Now, a few like to talk about this, but in fact, we're way below projections. I've been an IoT analyst for a long time, and 5 years ago, we were projected to be in 2019, at 50 billion devices. We're still at 9, maybe 10. Ask the likes of Cisco, of Gartner, of McKinsey, and so forth. You'll get all kinds of big numbers like 75 billion, 100 billion, 200 billion. Massive amounts of devices pervading every aspect of the physical world. Now, today, they're fairly disconnected, right? IoT suffers from major interoperability hurdles. But we are connecting everything from wearables to windmills, from cars to motorcycles, you name it. There's a giant list there. We're connecting everything to the physical world. And this is not just about connectivity. That's really phase 1. Now, marketers have been dealing with IoT and how to actually activate that for a long time. Here you see, again, our customer journey loop and different applications for how sensor data, biometric data, building data can all be used to optimize marketing campaigns. We're seeing, for example, in the context of AR, VR, all kinds of sensing, biometric sensing used to understand whether or not content resonates. The third trend that we're going to talk about today, yes, involves blockchain, and don't worry, I'll give a gentle primer, but it's really about trust as a new currency for business. I mentioned before that we have been building layers of the internet around communications, right? Communications among people, among devices, among different companies. But blockchain at the very simplest level is a trust layer. So it's very early days when we talk about blockchain, very early days. But we've really just scraped the surface. From media traceability and ad verification to user-generated content, reward token campaigns, to data authentication and actually ID authentication. Remember the proof that this is actually me? So many guessing games that marketers have to engage in on a regular basis or potentially use inferencing to try to figure out would go away simply with this direct connection through this technology. All kinds of different ways of thinking about rethinking loyalty programs and how we can actually extract value from them across brands, across industries. Anti-counterfeit, anti-fraud, anti-mistakes, reputation systems as part of these ecosystems. It's very early days, and I'm happy to answer more questions on this technology.